I think the biggest difference is that I'm the first. So I'm the first Glory Women's Champion. So, they did kind of like the brand split and we got a new show. And so it means a lot to be on a new show and to be the champion of that show. It's kind of like a big weight to carry. So I feel like I have a big responsibility to kind of make this title prestigious as it can be, just to have the same type of prestige that the Diamond Championship does. Like, the Diamond Championship's like the OG women's title at Reality of Wrestling, and so many amazing women have held it. And so I'm the first, and I'm very fortunate that I'm also part of that lineage too, that I was also the Diamond Champion, but now I'm the first Glory Champion. So I hope I can just have like a very good run with this title and make it mean something, and be a title that like other girls really want to pursue and try to get it as well too, and to kind of just continue down that line of it being like a big women's title for Reality of Wrestling.
Welcome to a new season of the Project Get to Know podcast. My name is Emmanuel, and we have a Canadian in our little podcast series here today. We have Gigi Rey, all the way from the suburbs of Millwood. God dang it, Millwood, Alberta, here on the program. Thanks for having you on.
I guess it's kind of a suburb of Edmonton, but it's just kind of just our neighborhood, Millwoods. South side.
Yeah, where is that in? How close is that in Edmonton proper?
It's right inside Edmonton. So when I was born, it was kind of like it's southeast Edmonton, but Edmonton's grown and has expanded so much over the last couple of years. So now it's not really the southeast port. It still is southeast, but Edmonton really extends even further south now. So it's still like the OG southeast Edmonton neighborhood in Edmonton.
You're Filipino. That's the one thing that we
Yes.
had left off
Yes.
on our 4-minute conversation. Which side of you are you? Full Filipino or which side?
I'm half. So my mom's from the Philippines and my dad's Canadian. Yeah.
Did you ever like really understand at least like your heritage growing? Because I'm full Filipino, so I was born there. I moved here in the US, but for you being born in Canada, did you ever have at least learn like how the Filipino culture and heritage is in your family?
A little bit. So my mom's family is really, really large. So my mom was the first, I think she's like one of 9 or 8 kids. And she was the first one of her family to immigrate to Canada. And then slowly my dad had sponsored pretty much all of her siblings to come over to Canada as well. So most of my family that I know is all Filipino. My dad has a very small family out in Ontario that I've actually like never met. So our immediate family, like cousins and aunts and uncles, was always just the Filipino side. So, we always had the Filipino parties and, everyone's there and lots of pancit and lumpia and it was always a Filipino celebration, Christmas, New Year's, birthdays, just tons and tons of family. People that like, this is your aunt, but it's like not really your aunt, but you call them your auntie anyway. These are your cousins. They're not really your cousins, but I do have a lot of actual like first Filipino cousins. So, yeah.
Have you ever like dreamed of flying to the motherland? Like if you have like the means and doing the means to fly to the Philippines, would you take that opportunity?
Oh, like to fly to go to the Philippines?
Yeah.
I actually haven't had a chance to go. My mom's been back probably I think 3 times since she's been in Canada, and I think she's been for like almost 40 years at this point. But I've never been able to go over there and visit. But I do really want to go there sometime for just to see kind of the culture and experience it, see where my mom grew up, go to Manila, go to the nice islands, and kind of do the touristy stuff. But I do want to see like I don't know, my mom was kind of like from a farm, I think, so I would like to kind of go see where she's from and my grandma's old house and everything like that.
What's a common like thing that you noticed? Even though you're in Canada, like what are some of like the quirks that you're learning, like the Filipino culture and heritage?
I don't really know. I guess
really?
It's just
Come on.
It's just like my family, right? So I don't know what's different and what's not. I'm just what I grew up around.
Okay.
So I don't know. The same thing. It's like you get into the house and there's like a bajillion pairs of shoes everywhere, and all the coats are in one room, and the food is usually cold at some point,
Yeah,
and
that too.
you
Wow,
have to
you're on
warm it up all in the
fire.
microwave.
You're on fire.
But
Oh my god. But like Alberta in general,
oh, and
because
parties always start late. Like if the party says it starts
oh,
at 6, we don't start till 8.
I go
Filipino time.
7. We have
Yeah.
7. It's an
Yeah.
hour. What makes Alberta such a special place for you to be raised as a kid?
Alberta, it was I don't know, it was just really nice. Again, it's kind of just like what I grew up around. Everyone's super friendly. Um, it's and it's easy to like travel around. You can experience all the seasons, which is really nice, which is something I really miss over the past couple years since living down in like Texas. I don't really get to experience winter anymore, and like I really love winter. And like you kind of learn how to skate the same time you learn how to walk. It's kind of like a rite of passage, like learning how to skate
Wow.
and kind of just being out in the snow in the winter time and just dealing with the cold. It just I don't know, it's really nice. You get like a really well-rounded sense of like I don't know, this all the seasons, being able to experience it all versus not just it being hot all the time.
Alberta, we know the common thread in the wrestling business, and that's the Harts. And being exposed to Brett, to Owen, Natalia, all the way back, like how much of their wrestling influence exposed you growing up?
Well, growing up, like, 'cause I grew up watching wrestling when I was, like, a little kid, and, at the time, there wasn't really a lot of, like, female wrestlers, but Bret Hart would, like, wear pink, so I was like that's
Close
why he was,
enough.
like, my favorite wrestler because he wore pink, and he was, like, from Alberta, he's from Calgary, so he was always my favorite, and then Owen was my brother's favorite, so we kind of, like, would always, like, fight about, like, who was better, um so yeah, so that was always kinda cool, and then especially, when you're watching and you start to grow up and you kinda see that it's like there's people on there that are representing, like, Canada, especially, like, where you're from in Alberta, it makes you connect with them a lot more, so I think that was a big reason why, like I always liked the Canadian wrestlers because I'm Canadian, so, you'd always kinda just, like, choose their side over the Americans, even, like, growing growing up further, like, Chris Jericho is always one of my favorites, partly because he is
Mhm.
Canadian, Edge and Christian because 'cause they're Canadian, and then
Yep.
then you get Trish Stratus finally, and she's Canadian, so we Canadians, we always just stick together.
It's like we it's one of us. That's what it's one of
Yes, it's
us.
one of
That's what it
us.
is. Because like, what was a match from the Hearts that you remember? Like the very first match that you've seen?
The first match?
Yes.
One that I remember I think it's because I had a poster of it in my room, it was like a steel cage match with I think it's Brett and I think it was Owen.
Oh.
Was that one? I don't know, it was Brett and someone, but I remember they had a steel cage match, and this is when the steel cage was, like it was, like, blue and it was, like, bigger bars,
Oh.
but I
Oh
remember I had a poster of
shoot.
that one in my room for some reason.
Wow. I have to
And then,
look
of course,
into
I
that.
remember, like, the screw job, like, that's probably, like, a
Okay, I
core
was gonna
memory
ask
of
that. Go ahead.
mine. Yeah. I,
Okay.
like, the
Uh,
ass like, I was so upset, I, like, didn't wanna go to school the next day.
what?
Yeah.
Why?
'Cause it was, like, traumatic watching that as, like, a young kid and
Oh,
seeing all
okay.
this stuff happen, and I think that was kinda when my dad kinda had to tell me that, like, wrestling wasn't real, and there was,
What?
like, stuff that goes on behind
Okay.
the scenes, right? Because I was just a kid when that happened, and then, like, Brett was, like, my hero, so it was, like and, like, Shawn Michaels was, like, public enemy number 1 for a long, long, long time,
Hmm.
and then until probably just recently,
Wow.
but,
Jeez.
yeah, so that was probably a definitely core memory that I had, and yeah, trauma, childhood trauma for me.
To think bashing the beach for me was the core memory, but like the screw job, that must have screwed you over for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, and because then I remember that documentary came out, that Wrestling with the Shadows,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, so it's all kinda, like, interesting, that whole story with how all that played out and stuff, but yeah, that was definitely something that really, like, stuck out to me when I was younger, and then that's kinda what made me realize that's, like, wrestling, it's a show, and it's not, like, real and scripted.
Of course, you started wrestling and figuring out how to train to be a wrestler. What was that motivating factor for you to say, okay, I will definitely give this wrestling thing a try?
I don't know, I think for me, I was just always a fan of it growing up, and then when I kinda got to a point where I wasn't really doing anything, like, athletic anymore, like, I grew up like, I was always playing basketball or volleyball or I was always involved in something, and then I kind of just needed like I guess a new like sport hobby to do. And then kind of when I discovered like wrestling, I found like a small wrestling camp back at home and gave it a try. And I don't know, I think just because I'm naturally athletic, I just got to it really fast. I picked it up pretty quickly. And then I don't know, and then I just kind of like fell in love with it. I loved being out there. I loved that it was like something that I grew up watching and but then was able to like do it later on in my life and kind of like fall in love with it again. Um so yeah, and I mean, kind of when I get my mind stuck on something, I really like to pursue it as best as I can before trying something else. And yeah, wrestling has really just stuck around for these like past 4 or 5 years.
It's fascinating how PWA became a thing and your debut. You got yourself over as women's champion. Okay, run that through
Yeah,
us. What
that was
the
none
heck
of
was
my doing.
happening? Good.
That was
That
also
came
a
to me
shock to
though.
me. So
How so?
just because I think when that had happened, because PWA had been a promotion in Alberta for a very, very long time. They're kind of on a hiatus right now, pretty much since COVID. Um, but it was kind of like the like Natty wrestled at PWA, Booker wrestled at PWA at one point. I think he was like their heavyweight champion at one point. So it was kind of like a
Mm.
very like big, prominent Canadian promotion for a very, very long time. And so then when I got into training, my trainer was he wrestled for PWA. And I think at the time it was kind of just a timing thing. They didn't really have a lot of girls on the roster. And I think because
Mhm.
I like picked up wrestling so quickly, I think I had my first match after only training for like 3 months. And and
What?
so it was a lot very, very fast, and I didn't really, like, even understand, like,
Okay.
wrestling yet or how to wrestle or anything really, so it was really cool to be kind of put in that position right away. And then it kind of got COVID happened and all this whatnot, but I kind of had to learn very
Oh
quickly. And I
yeah.
got to learn a lot with the people around me. A lot, the people around me helped me out like a lot, just kind of like about wrestling and learning about it and stuff. And I kind of just let my athleticism do what it could do. So
You got thrown into the wolves basically within
yeah,
those
I kind of
few
got thrown
months.
into the wolves right away.
Did it take time for you to adapt in that span of time to learn things quickly?
It definitely took time to like learn and figure it out. I think being a fan of wrestling for a very long time really
Okay.
helped me a lot, because I watched a lot of wrestling. So like, so then it was just, I don't know, picking it up and figuring it out as I went along. Like, I don't know, like I had really good training, but a lot of my training was kind of just like in the ring not necessarily on the fly, but kind of just like making mistakes in a match and then like learning from it later on and learning that like, hey, that doesn't work. I can't do that. But I can do this and kind of just figuring out one of those things that's kind of like, and I say that anytime like when I'm helping other like girls with wrestling, sometimes you kind of just have to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And like, because you can have an idea of how you want to be a wrestler and then you go out there and try it and it doesn't work out and you kind of just like take stuff out or add stuff in as you go along, and that's kind of how you like build up your playbook really of like what moves you want to do and how you kind of develop yourself as a wrestler is kind of just trying out new things and throwing out things that don't work.
Like, I'm not, well, I've seen mystery wrestling, but that's in Quebec. That's a different story altogether. But in the Canadian scene, when you started to learn the ropes of what the wrestling business was about, what makes the Canadian wrestling scene such a unique identity within that business?
I think just because we have, especially in Alberta, we have such a rich history with wrestling, with like Stampede Wrestling, and of course like the Harts. Like my trainer back at home, like he trained with like TJ Wilson, and is like very close with Natalia as well too. He's kind of like how I got into like getting to know them and training with them in Florida and stuff because he had such a good like friendship and connection with them. So pretty a lot of people in Alberta like, we kinda can trace our training lineage back to the Harts somehow. Like, everyone's
Oh,
kind of
that's
been
cool,
trained by
actually.
someone who trained with the Harts in a very, like, cool way, which is kinda nice. So but kinda like,
Yeah. And
that 6 degrees of separation sort of thing. It's like everyone kinda knows someone who trained with the Harts. And, like, I'm kind
oh,
of part
so
of that, like,
it's
almost
linked
direct
somehow.
lineage too. Yeah.
Gotcha. But for you to be part of that scene, being that young in the business, what was that like being part of that scene before we even head to row? But within your time of training, what was that like to be part of that scene?
It was really cool. Again, it kind of everything kind of happened really, really fast. So it was kind of like one day I was signing up for like a wrestling camp to like learn how to like wrestle for like the first time, and then a couple months later I was like on of the PWA roster wrestling with all these people that have been wrestling for like years and years with like such a rich history in like Alberta wrestling. So it's crazy because that was probably I had my first match at PWA, and then probably within like 3 months COVID happened, so everything got shut down. So it's like I didn't even really know kind of like or realize how cool it was to be involved in all that stuff before it was like over, essentially. Because then after that, like we didn't have wrestling for like almost a year and a half. And then during that time is when I kind of made my transition to move down to the States so I could continue to wrestle because wrestling was like not happening at all in Canada for a very long time. Even after I moved down to Houston, it was probably still another 6 months to a year before like Canada even ran its first wrestling show anywhere. So
Wow.
so yeah, so at the
That's
time when I was in the Canadian wrestling scene, it was such a short amount of time that I don't know, and I was still so new to wrestling. I didn't really like, not that I didn't appreciate it, I just like didn't really like know. Like I was just new to it. And now it's like I look back and I wish I could have like I appreciated it, but it's like I wish I could have done more or just like I
mm.
wish it would have lasted longer, I guess, if that makes
And
sense.
you're still learning too. That's what and you're still trying
Yeah,
to
and I was
learn the
still
ropes.
learning. Like when I came down to Houston, I was still like very new to wrestling. Like I probably only really had less than a year of wrestling training. I only had like maybe like 4 matches, only one of them being a singles match. All the rest were like multi-person tag team matches and stuff. So I didn't I most of my wrestling career has really been down here, like in the States, especially like me as my G Money, Gigi Rey characters, mostly all been developed down here in Houston.
Oh, I see. So reality became a thing. What was the initial interaction that you had with Book?
Like when I went to Reality of Wrestling.
Yeah, what was the first interaction that you've had with Booker?
Well, I remember the first interaction I actually had. I was still living at home, and I kind of just like called up the school and asked how I could sign up. And I'm pretty sure it was like Charmel who answered the phone. And so I asked her, I was
Wow,
like,
that's
yeah, I'm thinking
anticlimactic, but
I
go
want to move
ahead.
down to like Houston. I want to train. Like, how much is it? Blah, blah, blah. And she's like telling me like the process and everything. And then she's like, yeah, so we'll just like see you whenever you show up. And then she hung up, and I was like,
That's
her name is
it?
Charmel,
That's
which was
it?
like kind of cool.
Oh, that doesn't
I don't know
oh.
who else it would have been, to be honest.
Okay, okay.
I just like kind of made the move down by myself and just signed up for the school and found a place and found a job and then just started going to training. And yeah, probably within and kind of same sort of thing. I think I got to Reality of Wrestling, I want to say in July, and then I had my first match at Reality of Wrestling by October. So again, it was kind of like a pretty short stint. And like I was still training and going to training every week and stuff, but I was able to work hard enough and kind of show enough potential and show them enough that I was like good enough to get onto a show. So
And because you're at PWA and training within those few months, and you're training at Reality, where you did have more time to really hone in your character work, your move sets. Within that time with Reality, up until this point, how much did yourself improve as a wrestler? When you started to really be trained under a Hall of Famer like a Booker T, and or with Ryan Davidson, or with all the coaching staff that was there at Reality.
like night and day. But
Okay.
that's not to say like my training in Canada like wasn't good. I was
Oh
just
no,
like
not discounting
when
it.
I
No,
when I came to Houston and to Reality of Wrestling, I was like training consistently all the time. And I was probably in
okay.
the best shape I had ever been in. Because I was just constantly like in the gym. I was constantly in the ring, just like learning, getting better at it and kind of just developing kind of like my playbook. And like that's kind of one thing when I came down to Houston I didn't have. And that's kind of something that like Booker taught me about. It's like You have like a playbook of like things that like you do. These are the things that you're really, really good at. Like the moves that you do, your style, everything like that. And so like that's something I was able to like develop more of. Mostly because I was like having more matches, more singles matches. And I wasn't just wrestling at Reality of Wrestling. I was wrestling like all over Texas. Like every weekend I was driving out somewhere, Waco, Laredo, um, Dallas, like San Antonio. Like I was Austin. I was all over the place. Like every weekend I was like out somewhere. Even like wrestling at like the smaller like roller rinks shows and stuff because I just like wanted to get experience and get the reps and get better. And so then I think about a year later, I had gone back up to Canada to wrestle a show, and it was really cool. They kind of made a big deal of me coming home. It was kind of like a big like homecoming thing, and it was nice because I did really develop a lot as a wrestler. So to be able to go away for like even just like a year and then to come back and kind of really show how much I had like grown as a wrestler was really really cool, and everyone there kind of had noticed it too. And I don't know it was really nice to be able it's nice to be able like I do consider like Houston and reality wrestling like to be like my wrestling home, but I still like have that home base like back in Canada too that like is really really important and special to me too. So to be able to kind of go back and forth to both and kind of see let them show how much I've grown is really really nice.
Knowing that you are having that homecoming and going back to Canada, like it's almost like a hero's journey where you're bringing the elixir back to where you're going to work in Canada. What was it like with Gigi going out of Canada, and what is the difference between Gigi going into Canada with the training that you have at Reality?
Just the confidence. And I
Okay.
mean, I've been at this point now, I've been doing this for almost 4.5 years, I think maybe going on 5. And so, I mean, I've learned so, so much. And like, but people always say that it's like, it takes like 10 years to really understand and like learn about wrestling, like all the ins and outs of it, the structure of a match, the psychology of it, psychology especially. And so, like, I really think even just in this last year, I've been putting on some of my best matches with a lot of different opponents. Um, and I think just because I've been able just like to learn a lot more, just and most of it just through like experience. And I think working in a tag team also like helped me a lot too, just like working with other people and just kind of like understanding like ring psychology a little bit more. So I mean, the more you wrestle and the more you're in it, just like the more you're gonna learn, right? And that's the kind of the one thing with wrestling, you always have to be able to willing to learn and to adapt. And I've always kind of like prided myself on being like very adaptable and being I don't know coachable I guess, and I just like really take in the advice that people give me and like really try to apply it as best as I can. Um, Kind of in everything I do in wrestling outside of wrestling. So
Because you had the Diamond Championship first. It wasn't a debut. You took a while to get to getting that title, but to work for the Diamonds Championship, what was that difference experiencing actually taking time, letting the lead to getting yourself over with the Diamonds Championship?
with the Diamond Championship, yeah, so that was the first title I won at Row, and that was really awesome. I think leading up to that, me and Promise Braxton, we had a year-long rivalry going back and forth, and not just at Row, we had wrestled each other all over Texas, all in Louisiana, we wrestled each other in Japan, like, we were kind of, like, tied at the hip for a while, and I learned a lot wrestling with her, but I think through wrestling her a lot, I kind of was really able to kinda, like, build up my own confidence as well too, um and so to be able to wrestle her at Row and beat her for the title was really, really important. It was kind of like a really year-long journey of me kinda, like, battling her and to finally come out on top and to do it at Row, and then to do it, like, in the new building, and, like, it was a really, really special night, and yeah, it was one of my favorite matches that I've had for sure.
At the same time, Marvelous came around, and that was during your title defense. And knowing that, oh crap, I have a championship. I don't know how to deal with it. I don't know what's expected now that Marvelous is knocking at their door in Japan saying, hey, we'd like to work with you. Did it really, I wouldn't say, well, did it leave a sour note because you had a championship and then Japan is calling?
Not really, not necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, I wish I could have held on to the Diamond Championship longer. Um, but wrestling in Japan was always from the very start a big goal of mine, and so then to be able to kinda check that off the list and not just to go to Japan for, like, a match, like, I was there for 3 months, and I was, like,
Wow.
they're, like, signed to a company out there, and so that was something I didn't really think I don't I obviously, I hope something that would happen, but then for that to, like, actually happen the way it did was, like, really cool, and I mean, um, timing the timing of it came when it happened, and I mean, I wouldn't have traded it for anything. I mean, it's cool to have a title and everything like that, but I mean, there's wrestling in Japan for 3 months is also really cool too,
That's an
and then,
opportunity at that point.
yeah, and then and it's just part of, like, the journey and it's part of your wrestling story and stuff, and so then to be able to come back and still kinda still be thrown back into the title picture and to kinda be a contention for the
That's
title
good.
was it kinda took a while to get back to, like, the I don't know, top of the card where I am at now, but, that's just part of the journey, so
Did it take for you to adapt in Japan? Being in North America, we'll say that way, but to be immersed in a new culture, did it take time for you to adapt within those 3 months, or you were just like, I will jump right in, I know what to do?
Like, do you mean just, like, the Japan culture going there? What was it like?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely I don't wanna say, like, a culture shock, obviously, I knew, like, the culture was, like, very, very different over there, but I did kinda just, like, do my research about kinda, like, what's the
Okay.
etiquette over there in Japan, everyone there is, like respect is so huge there, so and I don't know, I've always been raised just to be, like, respectful and kind to the people around me, so I really always wanted to respect their culture and, their customs and whatever they did out there, and so I learned a little bit of Japanese and, um, yeah, I just was on my best behavior when I was out there. Um,
So when
uh,
stardom calls and you're like, hey, come in, you're ready.
yes, 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 I would be ready. I still remember all the customs, I still have my notes of all the Japanese phrases and yeah, ready to go.
What was your favorite match over there in Japan?
In Japan?
Yes.
Oh, my favorite match, I'm sad I've actually never even seen it back, but, so I was signed to Marvelous, but, we are also had the opportunity to wrestle for Sendai, which is Miko
Okay.
Sanomura's promotion, and Promise was out in Japan with me, and so her and I actually tag teamed together against, this other tag team in Japan called a 200 kilo or 300 kilo or something, and they were just this awesome tag team, and we just had such a fun match, and it was a blast, and, I've never seen it back, I've never haven't been able to find it online anywhere, but yeah, it was so fun, and it was just yeah, it was a really, really cool, fun match that we had.
So going back to Row and the Money Birds became a thing and taking the tag titles. Well, let's do it this way. Because Lady Bird is someone that you've had a close personal relationship. Where did that start?
It actually started right when I moved to Texas. She was actually the first person I ever wrestled in Texas, surprisingly.
Wow.
So her and I had met at like just like a wrestling seminar that was run by Thunder Rosa because she used to have her women's promotion Mission Pro. So they had a show out somewhere and they were running a seminar ahead of before the show. So I went to it and she was there too. And that's the first time we ever met. And then we both got picked out of the seminar to have a match against each other on the show. And then we wrestled each other, and then we've kind of been best friends and inseparable ever since. And we were actually doing like the tag team Money Birds thing before Raw. And then we were kind of trying to like take off as a tag team, like at Mission Pro, and when we were getting booked as a tag team out there. And then Japan happened so that we kind of, I was gone and she kind of did her own thing at Mission Pro. And then thankfully we were able to, when I came back from Japan, we were able to finally do the tag team thing at Row and kind of get some good traction off of that. So, um, yeah.
Because like you guys, every match that I watch, you guys as Money Birds, you guys are fast.
Yeah.
where did that fast move set come from? Because there are clips that I watch. I'm like, there's Ladybird, there's Gigi. Where'd they go? Like, where did that speed of um speed of teamwork for you guys to be with the Moneybirds?
I think both of us are very athletic. Like, Lady Bird was like a gymnast and a cheerleader, and then like I played basketball and volleyball, and so like we're both just like athletic girls, and we've kind of been wrestling around the same time, so we kind of like both got into the business or like for the about same time, and so I think we just like clicked that way. Like we just and we're about the same size. We kind of look the same. People always ask us if we're like sisters.
That was my first thought. I'm like, y'all are siblings. My
Yeah,
brain was trying to process.
when we first our first match at Reality of Wrestling as the Money Birds, we looked way too alike, and we couldn't even tell who was who. So then we decided like, hey, maybe we should do like our hair a little bit differently, or I'll wear my hair like this, and then we got new gear and we changed it up a little bit so mine looks a little bit different from hers, and because yeah, at one point we couldn't tell who was who. She does more of like the cool flips and all that stuff. So if you're seeing someone flipping around, that's her. That's definitely not me. So
Yeah.
she's way more athletic in that sense.
But to have the work that you're going through as a tag team, I guess I'll ask this too. Like, if within the Moneybirds, what is your strength within that team?
Oh gosh. I don't know. I think we complement each other really well. I think I'm maybe a little bit more of like the muscle and she's a little bit more of like the high flying. So, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. But it's
But
funny,
she's
like you
she's
guys
strong as
have,
hell too, but she does definitely more of like the high flying stuff and I kind of do a lot more of like the groundwork lifting and picking people up and dropping them.
yeah, because that moonsault. Every time she does a moonsault, I'm like, yep, that's Ladybird, that's her.
Yeah.
But the work that you're going through as a tag team and having the row women's tag titles, and it's a different title division, but working with someone to be in that position of putting yourselves over as the women's tag team champion. How different is it than having, besides being with another person in a tag team, how different is it than being in the singles division?
Being a singles champion versus a tag team champion, is that what you're
Yep.
asking? Um,
Yes.
it is different. It's what I really like about being in a tag team is that like you have your best friend there with you. So it's like
Okay.
if you're if I'm not carrying my end of the slack, like she can like pick it up and like vice versa, right? If like I'm having a bad day, she can like pick it up for me. If she's having a bad day, I can like help lift her up. And then we just get to like enjoy it together. We both love wrestling so much. And then so to be able to work together and bounce ideas off each other. And if I come up with something for her and then she comes up with something for me, it's just like we're always kind of like thinking of the other person, which is like really nice. Whereas like in singles wrestling, you're only just kind of like thinking about yourself and your opponent. Whereas
Mm.
like in tag team wrestling, you can kind of like share the load, I guess, which is like kind of nice. And you kind of get a break when you get to be like on the apron, you're not in
Rest
the
spot.
ring.
I'm over here.
Yeah,
I'm over
yeah, and so then it was a big shift being like, because me and Lady Bird were like tag teaming with each other at Row for like, like 6, 7 months. And then we both started having singles matches again. And then you get a lot more tired when you're just by yourself.
Where's my partner? Where's the? Oh, I'm
Yeah.
by myself.
Yeah. So we kind of had to like relearn that again. It's like, okay, yeah, having singles matches is kind of like a lot more tasking than like having a tag team match. Um, so I guess in a sense, I don't know, it's really nice to be able just to like, be a tag team champion with your best friend. And kind of just like to share that with them, the highs and the lows together. Um, but then when you're a singles champion by yourself, it's kind of like it's all on you. So you don't really have anyone to fall back on. So if you have a good match, that's on you. And if you have a bad match, that's also on you. So all that responsibility is on your shoulders. And but I mean, I welcome it, and that's kind of the position that like I want to be in, and that I think I've earned to be in at this point. Um, and yeah, so I'm definitely enjoying it. Both of them.
Right. So, Who Runs the World became a thing with MPX, and Athena hosting an event where all the women's division in the Indies suddenly has their own show, and to be with the Moneybirds and having that match with Hannah Kadash and London Dior, um, with the Moneybirds, to be in this show within the women's division in the Indies. What was it like to have this bigger picture in the Indies with Who Runs the World?
It was really cool. It was really nice. It was yeah, I don't know, it was cool that like Athena reached out to us and wanted us to be a part of it, especially like as the Money Birds, and we were kind of the only real tag team on there, you know, like the two that we wrestled, they're great girls and great wrestlers, but they're not really a tag team. So, you know, obviously we had a bit of an advantage. So it was cool to kind of be in that spot and kind of be recognized as kind of like a top tag team in the state. And then to be able to defend our reality of wrestling tag team championships there as well too. So that was really cool of Athena to reach out to us and to Row and to make that a title match for us. And kind of still just give us that platform to perform. So that was really awesome.
With the being the Glory Women's Champion, and you kind of mentioned with the Diamonds Championship, how different is it to have the Glory title, and what's the difference between that and the Diamonds Championship?
I think the biggest difference is that I'm the first. So I'm the first Glory Women's Champion. So you know, they did kind of like the brand split and we got a new show, and so it means a lot to be on a new show and to be the champion of that show. It's kind of like a big weight to carry. So I feel like I have a big responsibility to kind of make this title and this title as prestigious as it can be, just to have the same type of prestige that the Diamond Championship does. Like the Diamond Championship's like the OG women's title at Reality of Wrestling, and so many
Right.
amazing women have held it. And so I'm the first, and I'm very fortunate that I'm also part of that lineage too, that I was also the Diamond Champion, but now I'm the first Glory Champion. So I hope I can just have like a very good run with this title and make it mean something and be a title that like other girls really want to pursue and try to get it as well too. And to kind of just continue down that line of it being like a big women's title for reality of wrestling.
Has the expectations of you as a wrestler higher?
Yeah, I think definitely, right? I mean, when you're the champion, like you're you're supposed to be the best. And I to me that's what the championship means. It means like you were the best person to carry that title. Um So, for me, I wanna every night I go out there, I wanna prove that I'm the best and I'm worthy of holding that championship for as long as I have it for. And that when I'm in the ring and people step up to me, that it's gonna be a challenge for them because, like, I've worked really, really hard, to be in this position and to finally get this win and to, be at the top of the card. Um, so I think if anyone's gonna take this title from me, they have to be better than me.
We finally going to talk about hockey.
Ugh.
As you can tell, we went from a Canucks hat to a Devils hat for a reason. It's a team that we are neutral against until we see each other at the Stanley Cup playoffs. But there's also two Hughes in the family, so Jack and Luke are still there. So, but you are an Oilers fan. That one was pretty much. There you go. So how was your? Did you grew up watching the Oilers as a kid?
Yeah, of course. I have two older brothers and they played hockey, so I mean, I spent a lot of my childhood just going to hockey games and watching them play and going to Oilers games. And I will have to admit, I'm definitely more of like a playoff bandwagon hockey watcher. So, but I mean, there was a
Uh,
time, you know, maybe for 10 years. I know my brother calls it the decade of darkness where the Oilers were just
oh yeah.
not good at all. So it's like it was kinda hard to watch them and hard to be a fan. But, I know my brother's a big, Oilers guy, he does a lot of Oilers media stuff, so I learned a lot from him. And then especially these last couple of years, it's been really fun watching the Oilers, you know, in their playoff runs and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, them
Mm-hmm.
wonderful
Yeah.
team of McDavid and Draisaitl, and yeah, it's super fun.
What is the fandom like with the Oilers?
Oh, it's crazy. So, especially the last couple years, I've usually been here in Texas during like all the time. But I had the chance on both last year's playoffs and the year before. I like came back to Edmonton just to kind of like be around the playoff time. And yeah, the city's crazy. It's like everywhere you go, it's decorated in Oilers stuff. And There's flags everywhere, Oilers
Mm.
flags, and yeah, it's just it brings the whole like city and everyone together, and yeah.
Within that time, um, how different was it now than with the drought that happened?
So I mean, the Oilers are always like big. Like Edmonton is always behind the Oilers, like, no matter what, but I think
Right.
especially these last couple years with the Oilers being so successful, it's like more people are fans of the Oilers, so it's like even when you're at a place of I don't know, you're at a restaurant or I don't know if you're at the hospital, it's like all the nurses are wearing, like, Oilers stuff, like, it's like everyone really gets involved when the Oilers are doing good, but even when they're not
Mm.
doing good, like, Edmonton still loves the Oilers. They're still like rock stars,
Okay.
so
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. That's how that. Excuse me. With the year, we are now 2/3 of the way through. Like, what are some of the things that you're looking forward to, and what milestones are you looking to attain for the rest of the year?
For the rest of the year?
Mm-hmm.
Well, number
Besides the
1,
defending, good.
yeah, well, number 1, I wanna still be the Glory Women's Champion till the end of the year for as long as I can be. Again, I think I'm putting on some of, like, my best matches that I've had, this past year. Um, and so to be able to hold the title while doing that, I think is really important and really cool, and I just wanna continue to keep doing that. I definitely want to still continue to be the tag team champions with Lady Bird and see how far we can go with the Money Birds. There's still a couple like places that we want to go out and wrestle. Like we had an opportunity to wrestle at NWA, and hopefully there's other TV opportunities in the future for us, and hopefully more opportunities for with Athena's promotion with who want who runs the world. I know they're going to do a couple more shows coming up, so hopefully there's that's something that we can be a part of as well. Um, and yeah.
I will end our conversation with this. And what would it be like hanging out with an adolescent you for a day?
Oh, fun. Like, I don't know, I was always having fun, like, I mean, I was always active, I was always doing up to something. I mean, I was never bored, I always found something to do, it's yeah, I don't know, it would just be fun.
But with the stuff that you've learned over the years, how will that add to at least sharing what you've gone through, hanging out with that adolescent you for that day?
I think I would, just, like, kinda remind myself just to, like, remember who you are, remember what your values are, remember what your parents taught you, always, like, rely on your faith, always treat people with respect, always be polite, and always stand up for yourself, and I mean, like, that's something I was always taught to do growing up, and that's something I still carry with me now, and yeah, and just always, like, believe in yourself, just, the regular nice stuff, I guess.
You can do it. And the Oilers went to the Stanley Cup twice, and you will say that she will blow her mind. So I have nothing left to give. You have the floor, and being that you're in the season premiere, where can we find you? What's coming?
Oh, thank you so much. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter, at Gigi Wrestling, and then you can catch me on Road Glory. Yeah, I'm current women's champ, also the tag team champions with the Money Birds, and yeah, that's where you can find us, and hopefully we'll have a keep the gold for a long time, and yeah.
Right. Awesome. A couple of milestones kind of came around as well. The podcast has more than 100 subscribers during the break. So I want to say thanks for all who are listening on YouTube. Spotify is catching up right behind, and the Instagram page is close to 500 followers. So we just need 90 people to hit that landmark. So a lot has happened during the month during this podcast, and finally catching up to what's happening here today. But for those who are tuning in, whether you're on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and on Apple Podcasts, thank you so much for tuning in, and we're on to the next one.